Get ready to pump some iron with the one and only Arnold Schwarzenegger. Join me as we take a deep dive into the life of this legendary actor, bodybuilder, and politician. From his humble beginnings in Austria to becoming a Hollywood superstar, we'll explore every aspect of his life and career. And, of course, we'll discuss the controversies and scandals that have made headlines over the years. Trust me, you won't want to miss a single moment of this exciting video. So hit that subscribe button and smash that like button to show your support, and let's get started. Arnold Alois Schwarzenegger is an Austrian-American bodybuilder, actor, businessman, and politician who served as the 38th governor of California from 2004 to 2011. Starting at the age of 15, Schwarzenegger pursued intense physical training to achieve his bodybuilding goals, winning the Mr. Universe and Mr. Olympia contests multiple times. He gained international fame as an action movie icon, starring in films such as Conan the Barbarian and The Terminator. Affiliated with the Republican Party, he was elected governor in 2004 and re-elected in 2006, serving as governor until 2011. Schwarzenegger has been named one of the 100 most influential people in the world by Time magazine. Arnold Alois Schwarzenegger was born in Thal, Austria to Gustav Schwarzenegger, a local police inspector, and his wife Aurelia Jadrny. His parents were strict and Arnold had a good relationship with his mother, while his father reportedly favored his older brother Meinhard. Arnold commissioned a study into his father's wartime activities, and while Gustav had been a member of the Nazi Party and SA, there was no evidence of atrocities. Money was also an issue for the family, and Arnold recalled a highlight of his youth being when they bought a refrigerator. As a boy, Schwarzenegger participated in many sports, heavily influenced by his father. He first picked up a barbell in 1960 when his football coach took his team to a local gym. At the age of 14, Schwarzenegger chose bodybuilding as his career path over football. He began weightlifting at the age of 15 and started his intensive training program at 14. Schwarzenegger visited a gym in Graz, where he was inspired by bodybuilding idols such as Reg Park, Steve Reeves, and Johnny Weissmuller. He met former Mr. Austria Kurt Marmel in 1961, who invited him to train at the gym in Graz. Schwarzenegger was so dedicated that he became known as the young man who would sneak into the gym on weekends when it was usually closed. He was asked about his first cinematic experience as a child and recalled his father taking him to Austrian theaters to watch newsreels, and the first real movie he remembers seeing was a John Wayne film. In 1971, Schwarzenegger's brother Meinhard died in a car accident, and he did not attend the funeral. Schwarzenegger paid for his brother's son's education and helped him immigrate to the United States. The following year, his father Gustav passed away due to a stroke. In the documentary Pumping Iron, Schwarzenegger claimed that he did not attend his father's funeral because he was training for a bodybuilding competition, but later admitted that the story was fabricated. Schwarzenegger also revealed in a 2004 interview with Fortune magazine that he suffered from what would now be called child abuse at the hands of his father and tutor. Arnold Schwarzenegger served in the Austrian Armed Forces in 1965 and won the Mr. Europe Junior competition in the same year. He then deserted the army to participate in another bodybuilding competition, which led to a week in military prison. Schwarzenegger won the title of Mr. Universe in 1967 and continued to win the title 3 more times. He was trained by Charles Wag Bennett and stayed at his family's home in London. Schwarzenegger credits the Mr. Universe title as his ticket to America, where he could become a star and get rich. Arnold Schwarzenegger moved to the United States in September 1968, despite speaking little English. He trained at Gold's Gym in Santa Monica, California, under the guidance of Joe Weider, and became friends with professional wrestler superstar Billy Graham. In 1970, at age 23, he won his first Mr. Olympia title in New York and went on to win the title 6 more times. However, Schwarzenegger may have been an illegal immigrant at some point in the 1960s or early 1970s due to violations of his entry visa terms. In 1969, Arnold Schwarzenegger met Barbara Outland Baker, an English teacher. They lived together until 1974. Baker described Schwarzenegger as a cheerful, totally charismatic, adventurous, and athletic personality, but claimed that he became unbearable, classically vain. The world revolved around him towards the end of their relationship. Although Baker sometimes portrayed her ex-love in an unfair light, Schwarzenegger actually contributed to her book with a foreword and met with her for 3 hours. The couple first met 6 to 8 months after his arrival in the United States and shared an apartment in Santa Monica for 3.5 years. Baker said that when she first met him, he had little understanding of educated society, but that he was a self-made man with great determination to prove himself. Despite their differences, Schwarzenegger made it clear that their respective understandings of events may differ. Arnold Schwarzenegger had a relationship with Barbara Outland Baker from 1969 to 1974. Baker described him as charismatic and athletic, but became insufferable and self-centered towards the end of their relationship. Schwarzenegger contributed to her autobiography and provided a preface, although they had different perspectives on their relationship. Schwarzenegger then had a relationship with Sue Morey, whom he met in July 1977, and they had an open relationship. He began a relationship with Maria Shriver in August 1977 and continued seeing both women until Morey gave him an ultimatum in August 1978. Schwarzenegger's childhood dream was to move to the United States, which he believed could be achieved through bodybuilding. The LA Weekly called him the most famous immigrant in America, who transcended his bodybuilding background and strong Austrian accent to become the biggest movie star in the world in the 1990s. Career as a bodybuilder. Arnold Schwarzenegger is considered one of the most important figures in the history of bodybuilding, and his legacy is celebrated at the annual Arnold Classic competition. Even after his retirement, he continued to be an important figure in the sport, partly due to his popularity in gyms and fitness magazines. He has presided over numerous competitions and award ceremonies and has written a monthly column for Muscle and Fitness and Flex magazines. Schwarzenegger won numerous bodybuilding competitions, including 5 Mr. Universe titles and 7 Mr. Olympia titles, a record that stood until 1991. He also won a weightlifting competition in 1967 where he lifted a stone weighing 508 German pounds, 254 kilograms per 560 pounds. At his peak, he measured 187 centimeters, 6 feet 1.5 inches tall and weighed 107 kilograms, 235 pounds, with calves measuring 20 inches, thighs measuring 28.5 inches, a waist of 34 inches, chest of 57 inches, and each arm measuring 22 inches. Arnold Schwarzenegger's career as a bodybuilder and his victories in several competitions, including the Mr. Olympia. He won the title in 1970, becoming the youngest Mr. Olympia at 23 years old. He continued to win the competition from 1971 to 1974 and again in 1975, breaking the record previously held by Sergio Oliva. Schwarzenegger retired from professional bodybuilding after the 1975 Mr. Olympia but came out of retirement to win the competition for the last time in 1980. His comeback was partly due to the documentary Pumping Iron, which followed his training leading up to the 1975 competition. Schwarzenegger's victory in 1980 was kept secret until the last minute, and he retired from bodybuilding after winning the event for the 7th time. Arnold Schwarzenegger admitted to using anabolic steroids to enhance his performance while they were legal. He clarified that he used them for maintaining muscle during a strict diet and not for muscle growth. In 1999, Arnold sued a German doctor, Willy Heep, and a U.S. tabloid, The Globe, for defamation after they publicly predicted his premature death due to steroid use and subsequent cardiac issues. Schwarzenegger was born with a bicuspid aortic valve, a condition that both his father and brother also had, and underwent a cardiovascular surgery to replace the valve with a human homograft in 1997. He defended his use of steroids during his bodybuilding career after the surgery. Arnold Schwarzenegger wanted to transition from bodybuilding to acting and finally succeeded when he was chosen to play the role of Hercules in the film Hercules in New York in 1970. He struggled initially due to his accent, long name, and strange body, but gained attention in the bodybuilding documentary Pumping Iron in 1977. Schwarzenegger's breakout film was the sword and sorcery epic Conan the Barbarian in 1982, followed by a sequel, Conan the Destroyer in 1984. He also appeared in other films such as The Long Goodbye, Stay Hungry, and The Villain. In 1984, Arnold Schwarzenegger appeared as the lead in the science fiction thriller film The Terminator, directed by James Cameron, which became one of the most notable roles of his career. He continued to star in action movies throughout the 1980s, often with a humorous, self-deprecating tone. In 1991, he appeared in the alternate universe action/comedy film Last Action Hero, which included a poster for Terminator 2: Judgment Day with Sylvester Stallone as the star instead of Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger starred in a series of successful action films during the 1980s, including Commando, Predator, and The Running Man. He also appeared in the comedy Twins with Danny DeVito and the science fiction hit Total Recall. Schwarzenegger briefly tried his hand at directing with an episode of Tales from the Crypt and a TV movie called Christmas in Connecticut. His return to Hollywood's top tier came in 1991 with Terminator 2: Judgment Day, the highest-grossing film of the year. He followed that up with the box office flop Last Action Hero and the popular spy spoof True Lies, directed by James Cameron. In the 1980s, Arnold Schwarzenegger became a Hollywood superstar with a series of successful action films, including Commando, Predator, and Total Recall. He also appeared in the comedy Twins and directed 2 films, but did not pursue directing further. His career continued with Terminator 2: Judgment Day, which was the highest-grossing film of 1991, and the action comedy True Lies. However, his career began to decline after the critical failure of Batman and Robin. Schwarzenegger was involved in several planned film projects, but instead returned to the big screen with the supernatural thriller End of Days, followed by The Sixth Day and Collateral Damage, which were not successful at the box office. He then appeared in Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines, which grossed over $150 million domestically. Arnold Schwarzenegger's career in the film industry, highlighting some of his notable films such as Junior, Eraser, Batman and Robin, and Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines. The article also mentioned some film projects that Schwarzenegger was linked to but did not materialize. Additionally, the text touches on some of his recent film appearances, including his cameos in The Rundown and Around the World in 80 Days, his voiceover work in Liberty's Kids, and his digital appearance in Terminator Salvation. Finally, the article mentioned Schwarzenegger's return to acting in The Expendables and The Expendables 2. It also notes his stance on the proposed statue of the Terminator in grass and his preference for social projects and the Special Olympics over the statue. Schwarzenegger's conservative views were in contrast to those of many other Hollywood celebrities who tend to be more liberal and democratic. He gave a speech at the 2004 Republican National Convention and was appointed as the president of the President's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports by George H.W. Bush. Schwarzenegger later served as the governor of California, but political analysts have identified him as becoming more liberal since his election. The article also mentions his early interest in politics, including his support for Republican candidate Richard Nixon in the 1968 presidential election. Governor of California, Schwarzenegger announced his candidacy in the 2003 California gubernatorial election during an appearance on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno on August 6, 2003. He won the election after the recall of Governor Gray Davis, defeating Democrat Cruz Bustamante and Republican Tom McClintock. Schwarzenegger's lack of political experience and unknown political views were offset by his fame and recognition, leading to extensive media coverage and nicknames such as Governator and The Running Man. He won the election with approximately 1.3 million votes and became the first California governor born outside of the United States since Irish-born John G. Downey in 1862. Upon his election, Schwarzenegger faced criticism from Willie Brown and referred to Democrats as girly men. Arnold Schwarzenegger's political career as the governor of California, beginning with his announcement of his candidacy on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno in 2003. Despite never having held public office before, Schwarzenegger's high name recognition and media attention helped him win the election to replace the removed Governor Gray Davis in a recall election in 2003. Schwarzenegger's early victories included the repeal of a vehicle registration fee increase and the prevention of driver's licenses being issued to illegal immigrants. However, he faced opposition from powerful unions and suffered several defeats in the 2005 California special election. Schwarzenegger later shifted to a more moderate political position and appointed a Democrat as his chief of staff, determined to build a legacy of victories before the next gubernatorial election. Arnold Schwarzenegger ran for re-election against Democrat Phil Angelides, the state treasurer of California, in the November 7, 2006 elections. Despite it being a bad year nationally for the Republican Party, Schwarzenegger won re-election with 56% of the vote compared to Angelides' 38.9%, a margin of just over 1 million votes. Many commentators saw Schwarzenegger moving away from right-wing politics towards the center of the political spectrum. There were rumors that Schwarzenegger might run for the United States Senate in 2010, meaning that his tenure as governor would be limited. Wendy Lee, who wrote an unauthorized biography about Schwarzenegger, claims that he conspired his political rise early on, using the film and bodybuilding industries as building blocks to escape a depressing home. Lee portrays Schwarzenegger as obsessed with power, citing him saying, "I wanted to be part of the small percentage of people who were leaders, not the large mass of followers. I think that's because I saw leaders use 100% of their potential. I was always fascinated by people in control of other people." Schwarzenegger claimed that was never his intention when entering politics, but said, "I married into a political family. You go along and listen to politics, about reaching out to help people. I was exposed to the idea of being a public servant, and Eunice and Sergeant Shriver became my heroes." Eunice Kennedy Shriver was John F. Kennedy's sister, and Schwarzenegger's mother-in-law. Sergeant Shriver is Eunice's husband and Schwarzenegger's father-in-law. Arnold Schwarzenegger's political ambitions and achievements. According to author Wendy Lee, Schwarzenegger had been plotting his political rise since his early years in the film and bodybuilding industry. Despite this, Schwarzenegger claimed that he was exposed to the idea of public service through his political family and married into a politically connected family. Although he cannot currently run for president due to not being a natural-born U.S. citizen, there were supporters in 2005 hoping to amend the Constitution to allow him to run. Schwarzenegger holds both Austrian and American citizenship and identifies strongly with his American citizenship and the state of California. He has also declined to accept his governor's salary. Schwarzenegger played an important role in opposing a proposed amendment to California's three strikes law, which would have reduced the severity of sentencing for certain violent crimes. On September 27, 2006, Arnold Schwarzenegger signed a proposal to create the nation's first regulation on greenhouse gas emissions. The law establishes new regulations on the amount of emissions from utilities, refineries, and factories that are allowed to be released into the atmosphere. Schwarzenegger also signed a second bill on global warming, which prohibits utilities and large corporations in California from making long-term contracts with suppliers who do not meet the state's regulations on greenhouse gas emissions. Both proposals are part of a plan to reduce California's emissions to 25% of 1990 levels by 2020. In 2005, Schwarzenegger issued an executive order to reduce greenhouse gases to 80% of 1990 levels by 2050. In addition to using his political power to fight global warming, the governor has taken steps in his own home to reduce his personal carbon emissions, including converting his Hummers to run on hydrogen and biofuels and installing solar panels to heat his home. In January 10, 2021, Arnold Schwarzenegger posted a video on his Twitter and Instagram accounts where he condemned the invasion of the Capitol building by supporters of former President Donald Trump. He compared the event to Kristallnacht, a night of violence against Jews in Nazi Germany, and criticized Trump for his lies and for misleading his supporters. Schwarzenegger also criticized Republicans who supported Trump's claims of voter fraud, calling them accomplices of the insurrectionists. He emphasized the need for representatives who prioritize the country's founding ideas and serve the democracy above their own interests. He finished by saying that the U.S. will emerge stronger from the event and offered his support to President-elect Joe Biden. Arnold Schwarzenegger's personal life, including his autobiography, education, and marriage to journalist Maria Shriver. The couple had 4 children and lived in a large house in Brentwood, L.A., as well as having vacation homes in Idaho and Massachusetts. Schwarzenegger believed that love and respect were the secrets to a good marriage and enjoyed spending time playing sports and games with his children. However, in 2011, he admitted to an extramarital affair with the family's former housekeeper, resulting in the couple's divorce. Schwarzenegger did not initially acknowledge his son with the housekeeper, but eventually admitted paternity and currently has a good relationship with all of his children. The controversy surrounding Arnold Schwarzenegger's height. While his official height is 6 feet 2 inches, 188 centimeters, various articles have questioned this measurement. During his bodybuilding days in the late 1960s, he was measured at 6 feet 1.5 inches, 187 centimeters, by his fellow bodybuilders. In 1988, both the Daily Mail and Time Out mentioned that Schwarzenegger appeared shorter. Before running for governor, his height was once again questioned in an article by the Chicago Reader. As governor, Schwarzenegger got into a debate with Herb Wesson about their heights, and Wesson attempted to measure him with a tape measure. Some have claimed that Schwarzenegger is actually 5 feet 10 inches, 178 centimeters, and uses lifts in his boots. The controversy has even inspired a website dedicated to the topic. In 2005, Peter Pilz of the Austrian Green Party demanded that the Austrian parliament revoke Arnold Schwarzenegger's Austrian citizenship based on Article 33 of the Austrian Citizenship Act. Pilz claimed that Schwarzenegger's support for the death penalty had damaged Austria's reputation. Schwarzenegger explained that his actions were intended to prevent errors in the justice system. The city of Graz named its football stadium the Arnold Schwarzenegger Stadium in honor of its famous son, but removed his name from the stadium after protests against his support for the death penalty. Schwarzenegger bought the first civilian Hummer in 1992 and announced during his campaign for governor of California that he would convert one of his Hummers to run on hydrogen. He signed an executive order to begin building hydrogen refueling plants called the California Hydrogen Highway Network and received a grant from the U.S. Department of Energy to help pay for the project. Schwarzenegger's hometown of Thal celebrated his 60th birthday with a party, and officials proclaimed a day for Arnold on July 30, 2007. The house where Schwarzenegger was born, Thal 145, belonged to him and will never be assigned to anyone else. Various accidents and medical problems that Arnold Schwarzenegger, an actor and former governor of California, has experienced. In 2006, he broke his right femur while skiing with his family and underwent a 90-minute surgery to reconnect the broken bone. He also fell off his motorcycle twice, in 2001 and 2006, sustaining injuries such as broken ribs and a lip wound. In 1997, he had a heart valve replacement surgery using his own tissue, and opted against a mechanical valve that would have restricted his physical activities. He saved a drowning man's life in 2004 and had an emergency landing of his private jet in 2009 due to smoke in the cabin. In 2018 and 2020, he underwent emergency heart surgeries to replace his pulmonary and aortic valves, respectively. In addition, the text mentions that he revealed a romantic relationship with a physiotherapist in 2014. Arnold Schwarzenegger had a highly successful business career in addition to his acting and bodybuilding endeavors. He became a goal adjuster and wrote his goals on index cards at the beginning of the year, such as starting a mail-order business or buying a new car, and achieved them. He and his bodybuilding partner, Franco Colombo, started a masonry business that thrived after a major earthquake in Los Angeles in 1971. They used the profits to start a mail-order business selling fitness and bodybuilding equipment. Schwarzenegger invested in several real estate ventures, including an apartment building and a shopping center in Columbus, Ohio. He also owned a restaurant called Scotty on Main in Santa Monica, which he sold in 1998. Schwarzenegger credits a variety of business experts, including Milton Friedman, Donald Trump, Les Wexner, and Warren Buffett, for his success. He has a significant stake in the Dimensional Fund Advisors investment company. Arnold Schwarzenegger had a highly successful entrepreneurial career, becoming a millionaire in his 30s through a series of successful investments and business ventures. He co-founded a masonry business with his bodybuilding partner, Franco Colombo, and used the profits to start a mail-order business selling fitness and bodybuilding equipment. He invested in real estate and owned several businesses, including a restaurant called Scotty on Main. Schwarzenegger also invested in the Planet Hollywood restaurant chain, but cut his financial ties with the company in the early 2000s. His net worth has been conservatively estimated to be between $100 and $200 million, but more recent estimates place it over $315 million. Schwarzenegger has said that money doesn't make him happy and that he has been equally happy with $48 million as he is with $50 million. During his first campaign for governor, allegations of sexual and personal misconduct were raised against Schwarzenegger. In the 5 days prior to the election, new reports appeared in the Los Angeles Times about allegations of sexual misconduct from several women, 6 of whom eventually came forward with their personal stories. Schwarzenegger admitted to behaving badly on some occasions and apologized, but also claimed that much of what was reported was not true. These allegations came after an interview in a 1977 adult magazine in which Schwarzenegger discussed attending sexual orgies and using marijuana. A British TV personality, Anna Richardson, also filed a defamation lawsuit against Schwarzenegger, his advisor Sean Walsh, and his publicist Cheryl Main, claiming that they had tried to tarnish her reputation by rejecting allegations that Schwarzenegger touched her breast during a press event. Thanks for watching this video about the amazing life of Arnold Schwarzenegger. We hope you enjoyed learning about his accomplishments, struggles, and legacy. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to stay tuned for more content like this, and give us a thumbs up if you found this video informative and entertaining. If you know someone who would appreciate this video, please share it with them. Let's spread the word about this incredible icon and his impact on the world. Thanks again for watching.